Ah, yes. Or once again, which of course means it must be Wednesday. It must be noon Eastern time, which means it must be time for the High Noon Hemp Show, the season finale of season 15. It's incredible. They said it would never last this long, but here we are, still chugging along with the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can find us in many places if you're watching live or video on demand. We've got the Facebook page, that's Temptations Beach. We got the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and at Temptations on Twitter. If you just want the audio version, of course, Podbean, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You can find the podcast. Just search the High Noon Hemp Show. I am Stoner Jesus. He is Beach, high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, at the Hemp Quarters. Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Welcome, folks, to the season finale of the High Noon Hemp Show. That's right. Season 15, is that right? Holy jeez, oh Pete's.
Crazy.
Finishing up season 15. We will be back next week for season 16.
Hey, there you go.
So everything's looking good over here at the High Noon Hemp Show. It's true. I am Beach. I am high above the Sharonville location at the Planet Everywhere Studios. That's what I like to call it. Something that I've added just recently, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. But welcome everyone to the final episode. We got a good one. I think so. Last week's show was kind of on the short, light side, but I think we're back to having plenty. I even have a question that I'm going to answer.
Oh wow!
You're going to have to watch the whole show, or if you're watching later, you can just all the way to the end and miss all the good stuff.
Don't cheat. Just watch it.
Watch the whole show to get to the question that I have. And I just stole this question from a headline, just like I stole last week's question, or I stole a headline that was a question. I think that I answered or whatnot. It's kind of on the same lines, but a little different. But anyway, let's jump right into it. We got a couple new products even this week on the product spotlight. A couple new waters. So this is the Wild. Now I do think we actually might have had the Wild before. If we did, we were completely out of everything. But I'm not sure this may actually be new. I can't keep track the CBD sparkling water world with starring Temptations Beach is ever evolving. It's true. We have a couple that we've had forever, and we hope to always have. But there's always something new popping up, and these guys are doing it right. They got some good basic flavors there. Your lemon, your blackberry, raspberry, I believe it is, and something else. Can't read it. Blood orange. I should be looking at my YouTube video, which is what I watch. So if you're watching the YouTube, you can communicate with me on the live chat of the YouTube because it is much clearer than my computer screen, which is this smaller. That's all it is. The next one, another new water. And just so you can see, that's 25 milligrams. So that's a decent amount of CBD. The cloud water, which is new for sure. Now, this I believe is 20 milligrams of CBD. They've got 2 or 3 different flavors as well, and so I haven't tried. I don't think I've tried the Wild or the Cloud yet. So I'm gonna have to give those a little taste test maybe. See how it goes. I can't read those flavors at all, but
you got blood orange and coconut, blackberry and lemon and rosemary and grapefruit and a hint of something.
Oh, wow.
I think it's grapefruit and mint and basil. I might be wrong with basil.
Well, those are definitely going to be some interesting tries. Blood orange and coconut, huh? I bet Mary will like that. All right. Well, I'm going to have to try them. You guys are going to have to get into Temptations to try them. Any of the locations, get in, try Cloud Water. Here's a product that we've been carrying just about as long as we've been carrying any products out there, and that's the Merry Hempsters. This is particularly, we just got a fresh batch of the organic lip balm. They do a vegan and they do an organic. We had a little bit of vegan left, So I got the organic this time. But you'll see later we talk about chapped lips for the winter, but we're in the middle of the summer, and chapped lips, I think, are still dry lips. Being dehydrated and having dried lips is, semi-common this time of year as well. I feel dehydrated right now just talking about it. I need some lip balm and liquids. I have to apply some Hemptations brand lip balm, which I keep on my desk. But there you go, right in the stores as well. Got the fresh batch of Mary Hempster's organic lip balm. Can be used any time of year for dry lips. It's true. And the last one this is the picture of what we have for Greenfield Paper Company in the Sharonville location. And so if you need a notebook, I should hopefully maybe get stocked up. We got back to school coming not too long, honestly. We're probably only about a month away from back to school. And get stocked up on your paper supplies, your eco-friendly, sustainable paper options. Now, the hemp paper we have is mostly about a 25% hemp. I should say the Greenfield Paper Company is just about all 25% hemp, and then 75% post-consumer waste. And so it's good for the planet one way or another. It is true. It's a great option for paper. This next one being dead in the middle of the summer, and the fact that I've been thinking a lot about the fact that I just closed the skate park, which was 10 years. I owned the indoor skate park here locally, which broke my heart. But this is actually my skateboards. The two on the bottom are hemp skateboards, and so they used hemp. If you don't know how skis, skateboards, and snowboards are made, they are layers of different material stacked on top of each other. And so, you can have multiple layers of material. And most recently, what they've been doing in the hemp world is using at least a layer or two of hemp in there. Obviously for durability, but you still get a little bit of flexibility because the skateboarder wants a little bit of flexibility in the board too. That's why you do that. I believe that's why they do that. It's not just one solid piece of anything. It's multiple layers, so you get a little bit of flexibility on all directions, maybe, and whatnot. And so now they do make. I don't know if they exist now, but they did at one point, and I can't believe I don't have a set. But they do make hemp composite wheels as well. But I don't have a set of those, unfortunately. But these are the hemp. And then the one on top that says Hemptations, that's probably like one of my all-time favorite gifts that one of my salespeople ever gave me, because he took the time, and he always took he was very good at knowing me, because he gave me a hemp shirt too that was, because if you look at the stickers, they're all meant to focus towards me or the businesses, which was personal. He took the time to get to know me, and then made this. So I'm just I just think it's the coolest thing out there. Honestly, one of the coolest things out there that anybody's ever made me and given to me, one way or another. He sure didn't have to take that much time to do it, and he did. And so that goes out to all the salespeople out there in the world, whether you're selling hemp or not. You take a little bit of time to personalize something for somebody that you sell it to, and you know what? They may remember that for their entire life.
Indeed.
So there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door, or 2 hemp, I should say, products on the product spotlight here on the High News Hemp Show. High Noon Hemp Show.
Indeed.
We still don't have a theme song, or
You think some musically inclined people out there who watch the show would have come up with something by now, but I guess not.
right?
We have a musically inclined audience. I have no idea.
What the heck did I just do?
Oh, did you mess something up?
Probably. I don't even know. I moved a piece of paper on my computer, and all of a sudden I got screens I've never seen before.
Oh my!
Don't move. That's the goal. Don't move.
That all, of course, brings us to the greatest segment in internet history. I'll keep saying it, and I think it's true. And one day will be recognized for the truth of it. Of course, you can see from the chest up what Beach is wearing, but you want to see all of what Beach is wearing. That's why I ask him what he is wearing when I ask him, hey, what are you wearing, Beach?
That's right, folks. Hi, Kim. I saw you. I saw your comment on the YouTube page. I know you just had a birthday recently. Happy, happy, happy. Um, that's right, folks. If you're wondering, hey, what are you wearing? It's a Green Wednesday on the High Noon Hemp Show. Um, the hat, one of my favorite hats probably of all time as well is the good old Make America Hemp Again eco-conscious hat. Got a hemp heritage tee. So there's a crossover there from the product spotlight because Greenfield Paper makes a line called Hemp Heritage. Representing the Greenfield Paper Company today with my Hemp Heritage tee. I've got a classic old pair of Ohio Hempery, the Ohio Hempery. And these were cut off. They were just a little bit too short. Fit me good in the waist, but didn't fit me in the length. So I kind of just made them a long pair of shorts. And unfortunately, I can't believe it. My Green Springs Technology pen is not in my pocket. This may be the first time in a long time that I did not have my Green Springs Technology pen on me. And again, the most ironic part there is I have two sitting on my night table. I know for a fact. One's supposed to go in the pocket. One's supposed to go in the pocket. One's supposed to go in my backpack. And neither happened. So anyway, missing that. But let's not talk about what's missing. Let's talk about what's there. Bringing it all together underneath. Got classic pair of head case boxers. Again, with their secret pouch label. And then on the good old feet there. I've been talking about wearing these shoes for a while because I have never worn these on the show before. This is my Oasis no-shows, but this is the iPath, some old iPaths that I just recently found, like tucked up underneath the corner in the closet. And the part that's hemp is the middle part, which is the red, yellow, and green. Even though because it's iPath and white, it almost looks white. So they almost actually more remind me of the Irish flag than they do the Ethiopian flag, which is usually supported by the Rasta movement. But anyway, there you have it, folks. If you woke up today, you're just curious, and I've been talking about those shoes for a while, and say, hey, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know. Here on the High Noon Hemp Show.
Indeed.
We get some news. I need some liquids. I did my lip balm, and now I need some liquids. All right.
Finally got the news picks as well. It took forever for them to come in.
Oh, great. Well, good, because we got some pretty
That's
fun
right.
ones there, I suppose, one way or another. The first thing that I want to address on the news is THCO. This is one of the cannabinoids that's just recently been legally been able to put on the shelves. We've been carrying these. I tell you what, the first THCO products that I put on the shelves, one of the stores the customers like took off and loved immediately. They're kind of slow, a little bit slower at the others, but I think they're really, definitely picking up when it comes to it. But it's being called the spiritual cannabinoid. We're seeing reports that it's 2 to 3 times stronger than Delta 9. Even in high doses, they're finding that it may cause hallucinogens. Now, I want to be clear when it comes to my understanding of the medical definition of what cannabis, what they call marijuana is, which has always been a stimulant and a hallucinogen. Okay, most people don't get that. Most people think it's a depressant or if you don't know anything about it. But scientifically, my understanding in the past medically and whatnot, it has been described as a stimulant and hallucinogen. Now, obviously, a very mild hallucinogen, if anything. But the reason that they describe it as an hallucinogen is because it tends to alter time or music. And so this HA or THCO. Now they're showing maybe that's what's in what were the little bits that may take it that far if it goes that far. It's a stretch either way. The reason that they describe it as a stimulant is because it actually speeds up the heart rate. It opens the small passageways to the lungs, so it makes it easier to breathe, therefore getting more oxygen into the system and makes the heart work better. Honestly, I guess I don't say better. I'm not going to say better, different, but it actually speeds it up. This image of the stoner dude sitting on the couch all day is just an image that was made by the propaganda machines after they stopped described it as something that would make you crazy. Because at first, to make marijuana / hemp everything illegal, they described it as something that would make you go crazy and kill people. And then after that kind of faded away and was ridiculous, then they started. It's like the '60s. They started like stoners were lazy and hippies were lazy and smoke pot. Okay, we do know that indica kind of does put you into that slower mode. CBD, for that matter, is kind of puts you into that slower mode. But we're talking about THCO right now, and it's one of the newer ones. And again, 100% legal, made from the extractions of industrial hemp, 100% legal. But has very strong effects. With that, and I like to warn people, try it at home if you're going to try it. That's true with most of these new cannabinoids that we're finding we can legally sell. Is that some of them have side effects that are affect you, and maybe you shouldn't be driving or out in public because you don't know how that's going to affect you at first anyway. And so always go and again in lower doses they're saying it's just really again kind of one of those common or uh, it reports the ability to promote deeper introspection, so to speak. So it really kind of makes you look within, I suppose. So, and again, it's so very, very new that these are just kind of early reports that we're getting. But I do know, again, our customers are I think, pretty happy with the THCO. That's for sure. I've been talking about, I think, Everlane t-shirts. Once again, this one was on the list of. It was an article about the white t-shirt edit list. I guess I don't know what that really means, but there were some big names, some common names, and then some ones I never really heard of and whatnot. But here's Everlane with their organic cotton and hemp tea, making the white t-shirt list, and it's the Everyone Relaxed Hemp Tea. Again, you might want to try to find that on sale because it's an expensive T-shirt. But it's out there. It's out there. That's all. That's the important part. Is that more T-shirts are getting made, and then again, we get that T-shirt in the right price point, and it can replace cotton T-shirts. Period. Now it is organic cotton, which we know is more expensive. As well. So that brings that price up a little bit, as well as using the hemp right now, because hemp fiber is still really expensive because we're not growing enough of it, and we need to be growing more. So let's do that. How about these horse riders? Now these are like young ladies. It's called the Pegasus Rider, Pegasus group, I guess. Okay, and they work with multiple horses, and they're giving one of the horses CBD. Okay. They said for years they've been searching for an effective natural supplement to help calm Blair. That's obviously the name of the horse. Okay. And what we see is these riders actually notice a difference. They notice the horse. And again, they basically described, Blair must have been the one that always gave somebody or everybody a little bit of trouble. But they described once they started giving the horse CBD, it kind of came in and then, started performing as well as all the other horses. And so I'm glad they didn't just get rid of Blair. Like, and Blair must have been a troublemaker. Like, it comes with horses, because let me tell you, folks, horses have personalities. 100% horses have personalities. uh, and so, I'm glad they did just and say, well, Blair's, what they did is they finally found a solution, which was CBD. And again, these parents of these young girls trust these horses immensely. Let me tell you, and they must trust the idea of giving the horse CBD, and because it was working, it started working, and they noticed a difference. So it's kind of fun there. And of course, don't give your horse CBD if you race it, because that's against the rules. If you just ride it for entertainment, it's totally okay and obviously good for it, especially if you got a horse that's got an attitude. If you got a horse with an attitude, then I think the CBD that'll be the next Western we see. Like the horse just can't be trained out there. The big tough Western guy, he's going to come out in his boots and everything. He's going to walk up to the horse and give it a couple CBD treats, jump on it, and it'll be calm. In fact, that's a brilliant commercial for anybody that sells equine CBD treats. It's a brilliant commercial idea. Anyway, I give away great ideas every day, folks.
That's right.
I do my best to give away great ideas every day. No doubt about it. All right, let's see what's next here. Okay, so English hockey player. She was injured at the age of 20 and told she would never walk again. Injured and unable to walk. And she's in a wheelchair. But just recently, after being in the wheelchair or so, I think for probably 3 years or so, and trying to get herself walking again, she started working out from the wheelchair. Like, one of her doctors finally said, well, just start doing your workouts from the wheelchair and we'll work on getting you strong again. She has something called CRPS, and I'm not really sure what that is. But she started using CBD, and I quote, it says, it helped massively with my pain management, anxiety, depression, and pain-induced insomnia and PTSD. She was the first patient in the UK to use both CBD and THC Delta 9 as a treatment for her CRPS, CBD. And then, and this is another quote. She says, my left leg can't thermoregulate its temperature. But when I first used CBD, this amazing feeling of warmth spread up my leg, and I slept well for the first time in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Okay. And so, just another amazing story about how CBD can help just about anything, and you feel like I felt like a snake oil salesman when I used to just talk about how great industrial hemp was before CBD came along. And now, we are being called snake oil salesmen by some people that don't believe CBD does anything. And then, I see articles like this. And, once again, improving someone's way of life who's been traumatically medically harmed, so to speak. And so, good for her for trying it. I mean, again, I'm sure that, especially athletes that are injured like that, they are willing to probably do just about anything to try to get themselves back to even close to being normal, because that's tough. But she did just I think I read she just completed her first marathon in under 5 hours in a wheelchair. And I don't know if some people might say that's cheating, but I dare anyone to get in a wheelchair and go try to
Yeah.
roll 26 miles. I mean, I can't run 26 miles, I'm sure, and I don't think that my arms would handle 2 miles of rolling. And so, um, either way, um, is what it is. Oh, Josie. Oh, Josie. She's just trying to sharpen. She just wants some CBD treats. Ay, ay, ay. Uh-huh. Oh, my gosh. Josie, enough. Go yell to somebody else. There you go. Give her some CBD treats later. She knows what they are, too. That's probably why she's talking now. I was mentioning hemp seed for chapped lips, and there was actually an article, and the article was titled, I'm sorry, in the article, they have a bunch of different options, basically, but when they get down to hemp seed, they say hemp seed for the lips, hemp seed for lips severely chapped or eczema around the mouth. Hemp seed oil has a reputation for regenerating the skin, excellent natural emollient, and a moisturizer. And again, it seems so funny that they save hemp for the extreme conditions. Once again, proving how well hemp works with these things and does for the human body under these conditions. But that's why it's a great option for the lip balm. Period. That's go get yourself some Mary Hemster's hemp lip balm because you don't have to have severely chapped lips, obviously, or eczema, because if it works for the extreme, well, then it's sure going to work for the not so extreme.
Yeah.
And so, and once again, one of the reasons why hemp seed oil is so good for the skin is the fact that it is the right viscosity, so to speak, that it absorbs into the skin. Therefore, giving wherever you put it on, it's going to give the skin those nutrients as well that the omegas and protein and all the vitamins and minerals that are in the hemp oil. It doesn't seal. Okay, when you use a petrochemically based product, it actually seals the moisture in, so to speak, and that's not a good thing. You want the moisture to actually be able to get out. Okay, because that's the important part of what the body does. But you want your moisturizer or your lip balms or whatever to be effective, and that's why hemp oil is so effective, because when you put it in and it starts to absorb into the skin, and it still lets the skin breathe or sweat or release the moisture that it needs to release, because that's the natural process of the human body. It's like, okay, we have a natural process of the human body is to relieve moisture through the skin. So we think it's a good idea to actually seal that all in there with something. Like, why would you think that's a good idea? Only because it does keep the moisture in there, but the body's trying to get rid of that moisture as well. Anyway, so use hemp oil for your skin products. It just makes sense. I'm telling you. As I've told you probably, I don't know, maybe even 100 times on the show at this point. I mean, we're 180 episodes in. Yep. It's likely. It's likely. I know I've talked about Highway Vodka. So a little update on Highway Vodka out of Texas. They are getting ready for their national launch. And so this is a hemp vodka coming out of Texas, I'm pretty sure, and they're gonna, so keep your eye out at the vodka section of your local liquor store for some highway vodka, Texas-grown hemp, I believe. And now I'm not positive on where they're getting their hemp, but I would assume, because you can grow industrial hemp in Texas, that's where they're getting their hemp from. But I don't. They may be getting it from somewhere else. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, this is kind of cool. The Hemp Alliance of Tennessee is partnering with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture to study growing hemp for fiber at the University of Tennessee. And what I love, one thing I really liked about this is the quote from the head of the Department of Agriculture is like, "We are proud to be a hemp growing state." And so, right now it's probably mostly CBD, as it is in most states, maybe a little grain, maybe a little fiber. But the fact that they're going to, do a little study, um, and the University of Kentucky has been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. And I'm almost surprised that, we don't see the results of the study that the University of Kentucky did on industrial hemp for fiber um, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But obviously, it's nice to see current studies getting done. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see exactly the results of. Um, Now, I will say this, from my understanding, the lower latitude is actually not as beneficial as the upper latitudes of the planet to grow fiber, from my understanding. Now, and so I think that's just a little bit of like how tall it grows. And again, as I've stated before, the taller the hemp, the better. It's already great. Again, if you have a 10-foot plant, that's still a piece of fiber 10 feet long. Okay, to be woven with all the other pieces of fiber in there that are 10 feet long. If you have a 20-foot plant, then you got one piece of fiber is 20 feet. That's why hemp is the strongest natural fiber on the planet, because it's so long. It has to be connected together in less places. Um, cotton's all that tiny little fiber's got to be put together. Tiny little fiber put together. And hemp's that one long fiber. And my understanding always was that once again, the southern states, the hemp would grow taller in the northern states, which is originally where we were growing in the United States when we came over. It was in the colonies, which were on the top part of which was more comparable probably to um, European, where the Europeans were, especially the UK growing hemp. Um, when we first got over here. And then, of course, it was just vital to grow uh, at some point or another for the Navy. Um, and so, uh, we'll see how it grows in Tennessee, apparently. And again, it's not like it's going to not grow tall. It's still going to be tall. Um, we just saw, and I think I'm pretty sure I showed the picture, and I'll have to go maybe try to find it. The tallest recorded hemp plant just recently, 24 feet, I believe it was 24 foot tall, 24 feet tall. And I believe it was the hemp traders, or dudes out of the hemp traders, that were a part of the project to grow those world record height um, hemp. And I saw a picture back in the day of someone that was actually growing a hemp plant on their balcony in Amsterdam, and it was almost 20 feet tall. It was, but it was very thick too. Where the one that for the competition, it was a whole field, and this just happened to be like on, there's these, all these hemp plants were 20 feet tall. This whole field of fiber. Um, and then that's where they got the 24-foot plant to basically set the record. I think there is the official height to go for. And again, if you were growing hemp for fiber, that is twice the production that you would get out of a 10-foot hemp plant, which is like the average height, 10 to 12 feet. When you're growing for grain or fiber, I'm guessing that's probably your average height. In the places around the world where they've always grown it and specifically grown it for fiber, they probably get a taller plant. Um, but it doesn't matter, 10 to 12 feet is that's good height and good length for a fiber that's going to be woven one way or another. That's for sure. So we'll see. We'll try to keep track of see if we get some results on the old University of Tennessee study. Hemp Bakers is the place for me. Hemp Bakers is the place to see. This is actually a business in Minnesota that the governor just toured. And Hemp Bakers is pretty cool because they are, because of their demand, they are ever expanding, but they're actually growers and processors. And so they are both growing and processing. And again, Minnesota, especially grown for fiber. And it was, Minnesota is one of those states, I'm pretty sure that even up until recently, every year the state police would go out and you'd see these videos on the news of them just cutting down marijuana, throwing it onto this big pile and burning it. And that marijuana was, you could tell by looking at it, it was old industrial hemp. So they went back to these fields every year and they always waited until the fields flowered because they knew there would be seeds in there. So they would make sure and leave the seeds on the ground so they could come back with this publicity stunt every year. But I mean, you could blatantly see, Minnesota burning acres and acres of marijuana, and you can tell by looking at it. That it was industrial hemp left over, and I think if my memory serves me correctly, Minnesota was the last working industrial hemp farming place in the United States, and they were still operating. My understanding is they were still operating up until, I don't know if it was the 60s or 70s, and I don't know if it was like I still need to get some details on it because I mixed emotions of whether it's really true or not. Maybe they had a government contract somehow, and they just know they were one of the only places that could still grow industrial hemp in the country for fiber after the war, World War II, that is. And because apparently there was a hemp farming still going on in the 60s and 70s, early 70s, maybe. And then that changed as well. And so I know I need to do a little bit of more research on that. Anybody's got some details on that, it would be great to know more on that, if it's true or not true. But I'm pretty sure I've seen multiple places, multiple histories of hemp that show that they were still growing hemp in Minnesota. Again, at least into the 60s. So who knows? But they're apparently growing some hemp in Minnesota now, according to Green Acres. They're ever expanding, and that's why the governor went toward it. Because guess what, folks? Hemp equals jobs. I don't say that enough. I wear it on a T-shirt like every other day. And again, I stole that from the governor's breakfast in Kentucky. So probably 10 years ago. It's probably been almost 10 years ago. The governor did a breakfast every Sunday. And they hauled out this like trailer, and there was a podium on it, and I don't know, I guess the governor spoke or whatever, I didn't know. But one week, or for multiple governor breakfasts, again, they did at least once a month, the entire front of this trailer said hemp equals jobs. And then that's when I started using hemp equals jobs on my shirts. It's and it was shortly after that, I suppose, that so this is probably 2012, 2013, that 2014 comes along, hemp becomes legal, and Kentucky jumps right into it. And so hemp equals jobs. Minnesota's finding that out now. No doubt about it. Article on 27 clever concrete patio ideas so you can entertain all year long. Number 22, and I do believe we have a picture. This is just the stock picture they had of a Hemp House, but it says number 22. Consider hempcrete. Um, and so, uh, it's kind of interesting that a lot of the stuff, the options were, and again, the reason they say this is just the, the best sustainable, eco-friendly substitute for actual concrete. And there are some other. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it's the best, but it is, in my opinion, one of the best because there are some other, um, the using recycled paper instead of sand. Just where you kind of in Crete mix is something that we're seeing. Trying to substitute that what we're used the hemp shiv, which is the basically bark of the plant broken down into little chips. Um, that's what we're substituting basically instead of using sand in the Crete mix to make it hempcrete. And once again, if you don't know, if you've not been paying attention, there is going to be a sand shortage for construction. Now, it might not be for another 50 years, they're saying. But once again, if we know we're going to run out of something that we're using now that can be substituted by something else, why wouldn't we just stop using it and use the other thing? Now, that's kind of tough because, those wheels of sand motion are already in place. Those businesses have been around for 50 to 100 years mining the proper sand needed for concrete. And again, it's not desert sand because you'd be like, well, the desert's got an endless amount of sand, it seems like, the bigger deserts. But unfortunately, guess what? It is not desert sand. It is more beach, or I don't know. I don't think it's beach sand either. Um, until they come after the beaches because we don't have any sand left to build houses with. Boy, just another reason. You don't want your beach to go away for that reason, do you? It'd be a terrible reason to get rid of me.
That's right. We
I
were
tell you both. But there you have it. Number 22. Consider hempcrete when you're doing any type of, and again, for a patio or something like that. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a great idea. And again, it would be interesting we need to be building more and more stuff like that with hempcrete to see how long it lasts. We've got a 500-600-year-old hemp bridge, hempcrete bridge in France that's still holding up quite nicely. And again, I think it's just the buttresses on the end or whatnot are made out of hempcrete, but once again, still holding up 600 years later or so. And France does a lot of building and use of hempcrete because they grow a decent amount of hemp, industrial hemp, in France. If you don't know, if you didn't know, now you know. France was the only country to never stop growing industrial hemp. That's the history of France and hemp. So it makes sense that there's a 600-year-old hempcrete bridge in France. Let's see here. Oh, this is our last little article, but also very fun. Maine mycologists are testing buoys made from mushrooms and hemp. Okay. So you can see in the bottom there, the little buoys are floating. And these aren't very big. They're not, maybe 4 inches long right now. And I believe that, they're using different formulations of mushroom and industrial hemp composite. Now, again, I think that you would have a, they're probably not gonna. I feel like maybe not last as long because that hemp and that even that the reason hemp composite's actually really good to replace what plastic it can is because it is compostable, and I should say it's biodegradable. All hemp composite is biodegradable. Some hemp products are compostable. Now, what the difference is just a timeline. So if you're if your product breaks down in 90 to 180 days, you can consider that to be compostable. If it's longer than that to break down, then it's just biodegradable. But again, it's natural. It's, put it in your yard and it's giving back to the earth what we took out of it to make the product to begin with. And so that's why at the very least hemp is carbon neutral, because we can just go back. Everything that's made out of hemp can go back into the earth. It may be carbon negative because it actually removes, when this is proven, removes more carbon than trees do when grown. And that one's been proven. And so it's really carbon negative. And so, now being floating in water, and once again, now I want a hemp composite boat. Instead of a fiberglass boat, now I need a hemp composite boat, and conceivably speaking, 100% doable. But I think it's, again, kind of fun that up in Maine, where again, a lot of water, a lot of coast in Maine, a lot of fishing, a lot of stuff like that going on, where the buoys are essential. And what are we doing when we put that big rubber or silicone or plastic buoy in the water? We're adding micro elements to the water that end up in the food chain. And again, I'd sure rather know that the fish are eating hemp and mushrooms, for that matter, than micro amounts of plastic, which they don't digest and ended up in their bellies, and we find them there. We find it there, and so this is kind of again, they're just going to do their first studies, I suppose, and see how long different composites last in the water and whatnot. But they obviously all float, which is nice. And again, I don't know how they actually, I can't tell by looking at the picture necessarily if they 3D printed those or what. But that's definitely, again, another product. We replaced every buoy on the planet that's polluting the planet right now. Every buoy that's polluting the planet, the waterways right now, everywhere. What a great cleaning. The planet would be so much cleaner. No one would notice. But it would be just, a much better idea. And again, always been the goal of the High Noon Hemp Show, or me personally, Beach and Hemptations, to replace everything we can with hemp. The planet would be so much better. No one would notice. We don't, it would just happen and be good. People wouldn't have to feel bad about throwing their plastic in the garbage can, for that matter. If it's made out of industrial hemp, it can go to the landfill and biodegrade there just as much as anything else, as opposed to go to the landfill and sit there for 100 years or 200 years or 500 years, which is what plastic currently does, or styrofoam. If we can make styrofoam out of hemp, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Hempafoam. We need Hempafoam. I call out to everyone in the world that wants to come up with one of the greatest environmental protection products ever made. Let's get rid of styrofoam, period. Get rid of it. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's a great insulator, but it's terrible for the planet. And we do have natural styrofoam when it comes to packing peanuts. That is an option. Thank you, anyone that ever uses those. And that's cornstarch. And my understanding is you can even eat those. But you look at going to any gas station now and they get those cheap styrofoam coolers, which I can't imagine why anyone would buy one of those. I don't know, because we actually someone gave some of those down at our boat. They left them. They gave them to us or whatnot. We had them on our boat, and Mary, though, we were traveling somewhere. She's like, "Oh, let's take we'll take the styrofoam coolers." I'm like, "I'm not listening to those things squeak all the way down to wherever the heck we were going." I mean, there is no way if you put a styrofoam lid on a styrofoam cooler, that thing will make noise standing still somehow. But anyway, all right, let's get on to some events. We'll answer this ever important question that I have and get everybody on their way. There's not really much going on. Um, Tomorrow, though, if you live anywhere or can get to Purdue University, this sounds like a very fun event. It is the um, Fruit, Vegetable, and Hemp Field Day. And I know they've been growing hemp at Purdue for a couple years. Indiana is another state that is embracing the hemp agricultural movement. This is just another proof of that. And so, what I would assume there is, you can go to university and probably take a little tour of, all the fruit and hemp and vegetables that they grow. Because we'd really only be in, the hemp is probably hard to say, but probably 4 feet, 5 feet tall right now. I don't know. I'd be almost interested to see when they got it in the ground, and 1st of June, most more than likely. But it should be a decent height, one way or another. But anyway, it's 1 to 5 tomorrow at Purdue University. The Purdue Fruit, Vegetable, and Hemp Field Day. Good times. July 29th, we got the Pennsylvania Hemp Festival, Elk County Fairgrounds, Kersey, PA. Almost here, one of the biggest events in the year. August 18th through the 20th, you got the Southern Hemp Expo going on down in Nashville, Tennessee. How about that? I'm sure they'll be talking about the fiber project down there. August 27th and 28th, you have the 8th annual Blessing of the Hemp, Saranac, Michigan. September 24th, for the second time this year, because the first one probably was awesome, is Hemp in the Holler down in Mount Vernon, Kentucky, at the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame and Museum. Just another reason to go there to that. And then this is another just kind of fun one, but on September 24th, there's going to be an outdoor event in Carbondale, Illinois, called Hemp, Hops, and Shrooms.
Wow.
So, the mushroom is really, and again, the mushrooms are very healthy for us. They're very healthy for the planet. I mean, as important as bees are, I think, to keeping the planet in symbiosis is fungus, mushrooms. People do not give them as much credit as they should. And we've just really started consuming them, I think, 20, 30 years. It just really wasn't a very popular food, I don't think. And then, basically because they were working out what mushrooms really tasted better or didn't taste like anything than others. And of course, there's the old, they call them poisonous, but most poisonous mushrooms are called poisonous because they are hallucinogenics. There are some that can kill you, no doubt. No doubt about it. Mushrooms, again, another reason why we look at some of the mushrooms as poisonous is because some of the mushrooms that we consume, they actually make you sick to clear your stomach contents so that the hallucinogenic properties can work better in your system. And so, I think that's another reason why some mushrooms are considered poisonous, is because they naturally make you sick. It's just a natural side effect of certain mushrooms, which is just, once again, how crazy of nature is that? In all honesty. But, we're seeing a lot of stuff, including obviously the composites that we just saw with hemp. A lot of composites now they're trying to work out with mushrooms. I don't know how sustainable that is. Mushrooms are hard to grow once you get them in the right environment, and they grow pretty well. But I feel like it would just take a lot of growing to do it sustainably of mushrooms. And I think most mushrooms that we eat now that you find at the grocery store are they're no longer wild mushrooms. They're being grown, farmed. They're being farmed, I should say, not picked out of the wild. Because I think that was another reason why, as humans, and I think in some environments where they're more common, everybody goes out mushroom hunting. I think it's more common than they might have been part of the diet. But until they were really horticulturally grown, and there was a lot of them, and that's when it really started. I think being, we could start buying them at the grocery store, as opposed to like someone had to give you some, or you had to go find the ones you wanted to eat, which is, I think, the way it worked for a while. And again, part of that was probably because the human brain was saying because they were fungus that we shouldn't eat them, but I don't think that's true at all. Especially for some mushrooms. Some mushrooms are absolutely delicious, and they do, I think, provide some things that we need nutritionally that we don't get from anything else. Probably, I don't know specifically what that is, but it would have to be true. Lichen can't exist without fungus. They live in true symbiosis with each other. So that's a whole nother plant life on a small scale, but the world is made of lichen as well. Without fungus, lichen cannot exist. 100% true symbiosis with those plants. All right. What is the question? The question is, what is the difference between CBD from hemp and CBD from cannabis? Well, here we go again with cannabis. Okay. All things cannabis are cannabis. So hemp is cannabis, so to speak. I think what the question really wants to say, and I guess I'll put it in italics, is CBD from marijuana. Okay. Because CBD from hemp is CBD from cannabis. It's just hemp. It is the cultivar of hemp, so to speak. Which again is 0.3% or less THC is the biggest difference there. CBD from marijuana is exactly the same as CBD from hemp, but it's illegal. In any state that marijuana isn't legal, CBD extracted from marijuana would be considered illegal. Now, the science says, here's the deal. If you isolate CBD from hemp and you isolate CBD from marijuana, it's exactly the same. And there's zero way to tell where it came from. Okay? So, you put CBD isolate in a product, there is zero way to prove what plant, so to speak, what cultivar it came from, whether it was a 0.3% THC plant or a 26% THC plant. Should affect you the same, and this is what I've always said. All CBD is the same. No matter where you get your CBD from, the most important part is you're getting the amount of CBD in your product that you're supposed to be. It's not whether what kind of CBD it is, because CBD as an isolate is all the same. It's all exactly the same. And so that's where people have issues. Is it's not that it's bad CBD or less good CBD. It's that there probably isn't as much CBD in the product that's supposed to be, so it's not as effective as it should be. That's the biggest challenge with CBD products right now. But it doesn't matter where it came from, which is, again, the idiocy of cannabis still being illegal federally if it has more than 0.3% THC in it. Is the fact that, we could have that and extract the CBD, and it, again, no THC. Or you could grow high CBD strains that have higher than 0.3% THC, extract that CBD, Still would be considered federally illegal, but it would still be the same exact CBD. Same exact CBD that you would put in the CBD from the hemp if it's an isolate. Okay. If it's full spectrum, that's where there's an issue, because the full spectrum means they leave that 0.3% or less THC in there with that high CBD. Still, again, legal. That's 100% federally legal. And so, the wording is tough. But here's what I'd really like to see. I do like seeing the word marijuana substituted with the word cannabis. And I have always done that. For 25 years, if you have ever seen me speak, if I say the word marijuana, I usually do the italicized, okay, because it's like a slang word. I call it cannabis, and I've always called it cannabis. And that was something that was taught to me by my mentors when we first started this years and years ago. And that I really keyed on, and I taught other people. And that's why, coming down the line now, I mean, to me, I understand what they're doing. They're literally using the word cannabis where it should be used instead of the word marijuana. The confusion now is once again, hemp is also cannabis. But they shouldn't be medical marijuana laws. Okay? There should be medical cannabis laws, or cannabis should be legal to use medically. Okay? Even using the word marijuana, to me, makes it a gray area, because again, marijuana is not a scientific word. There's no, that's not. In fact, if you looked up the word marijuana in the dictionary, and I don't know if it still says this, and they've probably changed it. It's probably evolved now. But 20 years ago, when I looked up the word marijuana in the dictionary, it said the process of smoking. And I don't even think it said cannabis. I think it said like the process of smoking marijuana. So that's what the process of smoking marijuana was called, marijuana. I don't even think it said the process of smoking cannabis. I'm pretty sure that's not what it said. And so, once again, there is no real true definition of marijuana to call something marijuana. And that's why the government used it when they did to make all cannabis illegal in 1937 with the Marijuana Tax Act. And that's why it should be called cannabis. And I like the idea of calling cannabis Delta 9 cannabis, calling that cannabis, and then everything else, industrial hemp is industrial hemp, cannabis is cannabis, even though it's all cannabis, and it is confusing. But that's the truth of it. All hemp is cannabis, but not all cannabis is hemp. Even though that's not true either, because either way, you understand what I'm saying. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That's the way that it is. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching today's High Noon Hemp Show. If you're watching live, have a great rest of your day. And if you are watching later, I hope your day is good. Reduce, reuse, reduce, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations.
See y'all next week for season 16.